Hello everyone and welcome to Avantika Designeering series or ADS as we like to call it. Every week on Wednesday, we feature design and technology leaders who share their professional journey, their thoughts on their domain of work, and designeering where the world of design and engineering meet. Make sure you follow us on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And with that, let's continue with your show.
A designer's role is to meet the needs and desires of the consumers by providing a simple yet innovative user experience. But design can also be used as a strategic tool to create an incremental strategy that is constantly evolving based on industry trends and insights. It can help improve the scalability of a business model with products or experiences that are easily accessible, reusable, adaptable, and holistic. So, how can designers create design strategies that keep evolving along with the industry trends? To know more about this theme, in this episode, we interact with Suhas Bendres, Director, Cognizant Interactive at Cognizant Technology Solutions. With over 2.5 decades of experience working in design and management roles, he holds expertise in user experience design, user centered design, interaction design, and much more. And that's why, on our journey of discovering designeering, we talked to him about design, first approach in business. Hey Suhas, welcome to Avantika Designeering podcast series. It's an honor and pleasure to host you on our show today.
Thank you, Rohit, for giving me this opportunity, inviting me for this podcast.
So let's start with an icebreaker question. The
Mhm.
world, Suhas, today is more designable in simple words than ever before. I mean, looking at what happens in modern society, you realize that this is designable. It's a big thing. At the same time, the design industry has a lot of great success in terms of design ethics as well. The question
Yeah.
that I have for you there is we know the power of design, but how can we influence the users' lives as a designer?
To influence users' life as a designer is involve them in the design process. That's the best part of it, and make them realize how their inputs are captured and translated into the requirements and translated into the design, which helps their life become more better. Design users are the core. Okay, users are core to any other design solution as such or the problems, because problems are not actually the problems, those are actually the desires that everybody would wish when they use a certain existing process or products, right? Or they see certain things. It always leads from an inspiration or an idea that exists, modifies further, and then put it to use. So I guess users, it can be, if you say because I come from a technology background industry, end users, your employees, your channel partners, even people around you and your family members, if they are going to contribute to certain areas of inputs or areas of their challenges that they would like to see certain things, it will really help us design it better, make it more efficient and more adaptable into the day-to-day life. I guess that's where we think users are very, very critical for us by involving them from the design ideation till the testing and then enhance it going forward.
Wow, interesting and well put, Sohas. In fact, with an experience of more than 2.5 decades, with initially coming from, as you mentioned, an applied arts background to working in graphic designing to finally directing the interaction team at your current organization. How about you taking us through your professional journey? How has the last 2.5 decades been for you? Did you plan it all as seamlessly as it looks on your LinkedIn profile?
I see. My journey in design actually was not a planned one, but yeah, during my schooling, I did plan that I don't want to do doctor or engineer. For sure, that was fixed. So I was inspired by my school teacher and was mentored accordingly. And then I had decided that I would like to go for an art education. And then I got admission into the Bachelor of Applied Arts stream in Abhinav Kala Mahavidyalaya, Pune. And that's where my journey started. And then at least that was the first well planned move that I made into my career in the design industry, because that was my aspiration. But it was more of an art type. It was not design. It was more of a hobby type. But then I wanted to make it into a profession as such. So I was able to make it happen. But then after during my graduation, I was exposed to uh, media, which is broadcast media as such. One of my friends owned a company, so I was working with them. So got exposed to the lights, the sound, the camera, the staging, and all the stuff. A beautiful world altogether. While I was learning the principles and basics of design in terms of layouting, typography, color, texture, style, all those advertisements, print, hoarding. Then it was way back in 88, 89, right? So it was more of a print, what do you say, oriented designs as such. But then after I pass out, I luckily got an opportunity to work in an outsourcing of an design work from the US. I never worked in an ad agency. I never worked in a traditional art agency, as I can say, about making advertisements, branding, and all the stuff. But I worked with a design unit which was doing a lot of artwork for US based customers. It was a design outsourcing company then. I worked there for about 2.5, 3 years. Was one of the founder members of that design team as well. We started with a 10-member team, went to about 300-member team over there. The team company does still exist. It's moved into the graphic BPO type of technology now. Then I moved into a first software technology parks of India, which is in Pune, Talavade, where I got to work on software design as such. Imagine it was just I can say foundations of the IT companies being established in India, and I got to work into that space as such. We were doing in that company, it was software company where I was doing icon design, startup installation graphics. Then I was doing all those help files. I was doing all those graphics that were used in the systems as such. So to I don't know, the current generation may not be aware of what I was talking about. It was all about Visual Basics. Visual Basic was one of the application for client server application where we need to design toolbar icons. We used to design installation graphics because the software used to come in floppy disks, 3.11 and I guess 1.2 MB hard drives as such small diskettes. So there were 12 to 15 floppies disks were used to install an application. While doing so, there was a lot of information time that was taken to install the software. So doing so, we were using graphic design for that. We used to tell about features, products that are available in this product that we're using. I used to design those graphics. We had to optimize those graphics. Then we had this client server application for one of the research unit in the US. So they had all those existing, I can say, illustrations that they had on a print media. We used to recreate them, get them into 3D, retouch them, fine tune it, and ensure that it's more presentable and display and put it into display as such. So we were working on multiple sections as such. I worked in graphics then in paintbrush, imagine. So because then Photoshop was not so popular. Yeah, it was there was version 1 or 2 there. Later on I got to access to Photoshop and started working in Photoshop, but till then I was using paintbrush to create icons, specifications as per the developers then, to create those. After about 3-4 years from that company, I moved to a small design agency in Pune, again in Pune, where I was doing all those websites. Then imagine 80, 98, 99 types. It was a website boom, right? Everybody wanted a website. Everybody wanted to have a web presence as such, or and have a www URL on their visiting cards in India in the context. Whereas what we know that the entire world in the US side or European industry was already little matured enough in terms of using software into the business applications as such. While I was working with the agency, yes, I was doing a lot of work in small website design, application design started in that agency where we work for one of the largest maritime shipping companies as a website design and all the stuff. And then I moved, shift my major gear to where I am currently in the IT technology company, where I am a head of design. I started them as one of the design unit, and I'm with them for now 20 years. This is my 21st year in that company. Started designing applications, so which were the information websites or business sites started doing transactions online, started doing business online, moved their what to say desktop based applications to web based applications. Plus they use internet as a main source of business development and delivery as such, and also expand their business across horizons. Likewise, American companies were having restricted business online or within that, restricted to their geography as such or a region. But now, because of internet, they were able to connect the dots, connect their systems across the globe for their branches they exist in the rest of the world. So internet was one of the core segment as such, where they started putting their e-commerce portals, started putting their applications, starting putting their employee features, their channel partners application online. And initially, if you know, 93, 94 year, it was all mainframes and I can say AS400 green screen applications as such, command prompt. It was converted into a web design basis as such. Imagine somebody doing a code, doing online business had to have an interface to it. So people started converting those mainframe applications to web enabled applications. So where I put up a lot of contribution to that in that time in that industry when I was in the initial stages of the technology company that I'm working for right now. And then my journey started, and it's ever since in that I have been exploring. I have been able to add a lot of facets to the design department and the design community as such. I have seen the design industry, I can say, molded in various forms. A web designer used to do HTML also earlier. He used to do visual design also. He used to do requirements gathering also. He used to do project management also. All those things were done by one person. Eventually, we super specialization brought into the mix. That's where the industry wanted, and the industry was maturing it. So we brought in specialized into the user experience or interaction designers. We brought in visual designers. We brought in front end developers. We brought in accessibility experts into the stream. Matured enough, brought in video and animation people into the mix. And now we are set to capture the world through audio interactions, voice interactions, virtual reality, mixed reality, and then getting into the data enabled design as well, which helps to into the analytics part of it. So it's a huge transformation. And in this entire spectrum, we changed the touch points, right? Customer touch points. It was initially desktops, moved to laptops, moved to mobile, tablets, and now the Alexas of the world. So we have seen the transformation across the various technology stack, across channels, across regions, multilingual. We used to call it internationalization as such. And then here we are to cater to the complex problems, now industry specific problems, domain specific problems, and then take it forward.
Wow, that's so beautifully expressed. And in fact, Suhas, now moving from the entire experience to the organization that you've been working with, Cognizant, a one of a kind industry based consultative approach that assists clients in envisioning, building, and running more creative and profitable companies. In fact, the design has the potential to be an outstanding method for integrating systems that generate creativity. The question that I have for you there, Suhas, is how do you ensure that you create an incremental strategy that eliminates risk and turns the idea from concept to scalable new business?
Yeah, quite a complex, I can say a tricky question though. I will share my experiences, what I do, and how we as designers are helping out in making that possible. The challenge is being in technology company or working with the Fortune 500 customers. Typically, what happens is the decisions are mostly technology oriented in the industry which I work into, or I have also experienced in the past, because platforms are defined, right? Because these are global platforms, and it's very important for them to ensure that they have a consistency across all geographies, all brand experiences throughout, right? So all these are very, very critical. So in this case, what we're trying to do is understand typical process, what has changed, what I've seen, right? In this current last 4 years, I have seen there is a change in the approach we do the solutioning for our customers, right? Initially, it was like a business requirement document, customer giving the briefs, and a very well defined problem statement used to come to us. Somebody used to analyze it for us, and then based on our question answers, they used to give us. We used to design and give it back to them. Now that's not the case. Designers are the integral part of the entire brainstorming session or problem redefinition part of the entire exercise. In short words, we typically call it as design thinking. It is a buzzword that has been used in the industry. Yes, design thinking workshops, where we redefine the problem statement, understand is this what the customer means, and then address it through the various technologies that are being used to execute it and implement it. So these sessions are definitely helpful, and I guess everywhere across the globe are practiced by the designers in the industries, so that your designs or your output that you're expecting, you are clear in your I can say uh, I can say you have to really know what you're designing for, designing how and where, how they're going to be using it, the context of the user also, and who the user is around. So we have been working with the customers to ensure that what are they trying to solve, how are they going to solve it, and what are they going to achieve out of it, and then align our strategies accordingly and make it work. I guess design thinking workshop really help us to baseline those inputs, do a pilot, I can say the MVPs as such, validate it with the key stakeholders. At times, if you have access to the users, best part is go and talk to them, show it to them, get a buying, and then move ahead.
Hey, did you know Cognizant has been named a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for Data and Analytics Service Providers 2021? They've been recognized for their vision and usage of data and AI to make better, faster decisions that drive results. Quite some cumbersome journey that all of you go through. In fact, that's pretty exciting role at Cognizant, and moving from the world of Cognizant to talking about the world of design. Innovation is a dynamic mechanism that necessitates predicting, experimenting, evaluating, and introducing new business models, products, and services. The question that I have for you there, Suhas, is how can we use design as a strategic edge from business development policy to providing investment to driving success at scale?
Yeah, because I think we are practicing it day in, day out. I guess what I've heard and what I've seen, because I have a wider friend circle around the industry as well, right? It's not only about us, but it's also other companies that are practicing design into the industry as such. We always have to have an edge vis-a-vis our competition, right? We have to define where we have to define our competition very clearly, because as you know, once we get into the depth of a particular domain, it opens up a huge plethora of opportunities. It also, whenever opportunities, there are competitions as well. You have to really define your territory, in what territory you are going to I can say put up your foot forward, and then may take an edge take a leap in front of the customers as well. Innovation is very much important for us and ever evolving as such. If you see my journey of 28 years in the IT or design industry as such, I have to evolve myself. I have to keep my eyes and ears open to check what's happening, what has been adapted, what has been the ask, which is not explicitly mentioned by any of your customers in the responses, what can be given proactively? Look at the industry trends, look at the industry insights. There are a lot of reports that are published in, I can say, Gartners and Foresters of the world. There are those magic quadrants, then there are this Gartner curve that is there, which gives us a lot of insights into what is that, where we are, what is upcoming trends and technologies. Keep an eye on that. But I know those are very much very well researched one, but when we actually execute it on the ground also, we can see a trend and a pattern that comes in. And it's very easy to predict if you are really looking at pictures or a view of the industry at a 50,000 feet view. On the ground it looks different because you're confined with a specific domain or a particular platform. But if you go take yourself a little higher up for a particular industry, you go higher up across the industry, you go higher up across the geographies, you'll get to see what are the trends, what are the patterns, and then evolve your design teams, evolve your talent, evolve your outlook to look at those industries, those problems that you are handling when you are on the ground and delivering it. You change your perspective automatically. Looking at all those facets, we have to really arrive at the strategies, putting design in the front, pitching into the customer, ensure that design, as a design thinking everywhere, design is the core part of any formal discussion that happens with the customer. Be part of it, get involved into it, understand the problem from day one, you are able to be successful.
Wow, that's really interesting in terms of how do you actually go out there and connect the dots. In fact, Suhas, while you were talking about it and taking a cue from what you were just saying,
Mhm.
as designers, it is our responsibility to put the user into any interaction. Our role in this context is to align user expectation and user experience, which must be guided by insights and robust thought. The question that I have for you there is, how do we strike a balance between gradual UX perspectives and how long term strategic analysis to affect product strategy decisions?
Design, we are designing it to ensure that somebody has identified the gap in the overall ecosystem of the various business that already exist in the industry or exist in the world, right? Somebody has innovative idea, how do I make things better? So he does it, okay. Why would he do that, invest his time and money into building up an app or a product or service? Because he finds a gap and he finds a business opportunity to earn profits. Simple, very 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 basic. So for that, users are important, but also need to understand what are the business objectives of the business, which is making the users focus an important activity into the entire life cycle. So look at the business objectives, understand the user objectives, and the context of the domain where you are going to apply that, and then get started. And for a long term, you need to really say, look at things which are obvious, because we never thought that you will get the analytical inputs, right? You will have how you are behaving, your friend circle, your recommendation that comes in your Facebook or Insta or Twitter tweets and all the stuff. It's hyper personal because somebody somewhere is watching you, documenting about you. So if you don't understand what's happening, what how the industry evolving, like cloud is coming big time into the industry, the way we operate, the way we function is going to change. So you have to keep in mind when you have a product roadmap, ensure that start with the foundational intent. What are we trying to solve? And then help ensure that, okay, what I want to be in 2 years down the line, what I want to be in 4 years down the line, what I will be in the 10 years down the line. You have to have that high level visibility part of it. So you have to define which industry you're working with and how are you going to influence the design in the design for that particular given context part of it.
In fact, while you've been talking about the design process and the world of user experience design, in fact, when we think about user experience, we also think of a basic, elegant, and simple to use product feature, making things simpler for the user. The features are a delicate product component. They are only a couple of the many thoughtful solutions that the app attempts to resolve for the consumer. The question that I have for you there, Suhas, is how can the design process help fast design prototypes, efficiently evaluate and understand the product's performance, and make customers like more by creating themselves.
I guess that's what is happening nowadays, right? If you see, Google is giving platforms for people to build their businesses online. Facebook is giving platforms for users to put their e-commerce product to sale. As a designer, okay, uh, how do we see the problem is like keeping how do you ensure that your design reaches to the end user, uh, and then keep testing. Basically, you need to keep appraised as a designer. You have to keep appraised the tools that are available in industry. Okay, the COVID has really made me think differently how we used to think that going to office was mandatory, having group discussions across the table, whiteboarding was mandatory. But then Miro and Mural came into existence where people are using it extensively to do whiteboarding exercise digitally on the internet, right? We have changed the entire paradigm of design thinking, right? It's a group, it's virtual. It goes on for the similar hours. But I know in-person interaction cannot be replaced, but yeah, people are doing it for 2 years now, right? that's the that's the change that has happened. So you are able to reach, there are platforms, there are avenues where you can make it happen. Always ensure that you are in touch with the user. When you have prototyping, right? You have XD, you have Sketch, you have Figma, you have Azure type of tools, you have Balsamic. Basic to basic, you have Visio, which was the most popular software for wireframing earlier, and worst come worst was a PPT, right? If not, your paper sketches. Put it across. You have platforms where you can evolve and ensure that you are connected with the I can say your users. Put those clickable prototypes up for feedback. I know there are a couple of confidential information, so you can't put it, but within your community there are a lot of governance tool, I can say project management tools that are giving that ecosystem as such, right? Where you can really host your prototypes, which can be given access to a certain set of users. Keep testing on time to time basis. Explore what's happening in terms of influencing the technology part of it. If you see AngularJS, React Native, Vue.js, it's all front end layer technologies that are happening, which influence the experience part of it. As a designer, you need to keep appraised what's different, how are they going to help you enhance the experience. Micro interactions, small animations really engage people. Unless and until don't keep reading and searching about it. I don't know how many people are using the uh, Google patterns, right? Very much important for us to take it up. How many people have really seen Carbon design system? It gives the entire plethora. So ensure that you have this information sources available, reusable component established, extracted, and kept stored so that your time to market is faster. Components are ready, information chunks are ready, color palettes are ready, your imagery is ready, your textures are ready. If not, you can create new and apply. So it will speed up your delivery, right? Your knowledge base is there, right? What we have done in the past. So that knowledge can be reused if it's allied industry. As a designer, ensure that what you create is reusable, what you create can be easily adaptable, what you create is easily, I can say, accessible to people across. It's not really restricted to you, but also available across the community that you are working into within an organization or within a outside organization also, where you have that community as part of it. If it's a life science healthcare, talk about clinical trials right now, right? It's a way right now because of COVID, a lot of things are happening parallelly. People are coming together out of various industries to solve a particular problem. So they are actually, the boundaries are going off in terms of this is my business, that is your business. So that's my intent, is to ensure that your designs are holistic in nature, but ensure that you are also meeting the milestones that are required for a quick move forward, because otherwise you're losing the market share.
Hey, did you know Operation C3 was launched by Cognizant, focusing on three main areas of pandemic. One, assisting for COVID care facilities. Second, supplementary supply of oxygen to address the acute deficit. And third, providing access to vaccines. That expresses their dedication to helping to solve the humanitarian issue for the country and its people. Absolutely. In fact, while moving towards the end of the conversation, I wanted to discuss with you, Suhas, how design is blending with technology. In fact, we have enormous duty as a designer. We must provide a vision and learn about building a connection between people and technology. Artificial intelligence disrupts many sectors, and the domain of user experience is no different. The question that I have for you there is, how can user experience designers use artificial intelligence in their workflow?
It's a little something which I had done very recently. See, the problem with technology is evolving. Artificial intelligence is nothing but capturing information of every pixel wise details, right? There are predictability. So if I say I am into a medical or healthcare, I can say banking industry, and then I pick up an image of a currency, it will easily pick up the all metadata related to that image when I'm putting up that display. To tell you frankly, there are systems in such a way that the banner ad that you see on the screens, right? Those are not created manually as static images. Those are assembled by artificial intelligence based on the hyper personalization information or user profiling that is available with the end marketers. In fact, designers' life has become much, much simpler and they have been given more time to think because AI or artificial intelligence or I can say automation is really helping doing a lot of work. Because if the design systems are set, your main challenge for designers to think and see how you can make it more simpler and better and better and better. But rest can be taken over by the technology. As I said, banner ads creation, you're not your job anymore. It's all about only one layout design. The rest, everything is taken care by the AI. Now it has gone to the next level where the templates are ready. Okay, the templates are ready where AI tells, okay, if you want to send this to doctors, what color palettes have to be used. It applies it and shoots it. Somebody has to define those metadata into the ecosystem that okay, this is what is required for a given domain, and it learns on its own. So AI is helping in decision making. Secondly, defining the file format that is required. If I say Suhas is consuming a lot of videos, right, these days, I will be able to see the data which is more video oriented content into my mailbox or to my browsers or my channels which I'm using on a mobile. Typically, that's how if you see your Insta reels that you see these days, it's all about what you see, what you read, what you spend time in. So artificial intelligence actually giving that information to the brand product owners, service product designers as such. What are the user profiling doing? What are they looking for? And then extract information of those to help define a persona of a user. Problem is earlier, I can say 10 years back, persona was a broad one person applicable for the entire set of users, right? But now that's not the case. Every individual is different. So every persona has a different facet to it. So they have gone to the micro level of understanding the users and catering to the needs, which is possible through artificial intelligence. So your persona, even if it's a broad category, you know that audience manager and target, which are Adobe products, actually all your user profiles are clustered into the age group, your education background, your friend circles, their education background, their likings and all the stuff, and you have been clustered and grouped into a profile, user profile. And the user profile further can be narrowed down through artificial intelligence so that you get the right market. Because if you're going to be a high income group, or if a low income group, or you're a what do you say of a profession into a medical, you will get all the information only about that because you are categorized in that particular segment. Even in an employee sector, it can be in an organization sector, I can say. Uh, uh, your role-based access was something that was enabled, right? I guess people at various levels, like if you Rohit, you can understand. As an employee, you have access. You are head of department. You have access to more features and functions. But on the ground, students would have only access to their particular portal about their hostels and about curriculum and their marks and all the stuff, right? Those are at a very broad level. Students is one category. But now, because of AI, within students also, you can really go down further, saying that, okay, these are product designers. Within product designer, these are physical product designer, a couple of them are software product designer, but product designer with a graphic design, with the packaging industry, all those faces are getting captured. So you say your user are getting refined further because of AI. So your designs are getting modularized accordingly. So keep in mind how technology is going to influence your designs, and then keep at back of the mind. It should not influence your design, agreed, but keep at back of the mind so that your design is you design in such a way that you can accommodate those changes, which we can say that customized, configured to your needs.
Great. And Suhas, that brings us to our last question. At
Mhm.
Avantika University, we've coined the term designeering, which is a unique combination of design and engineering. The question
Fabulous.
that I have for you is, do you think both of these concepts blend in your work and could help young designers achieve something exceptional?
I guess you nailed it. That's what I am being known for, because design in itself cannot stand tall, right? If it's technology doesn't breathe life into that, your designs are static. Simple as such. Imagine a developer doing a product catalog page. If he doesn't understand how the product details page is going to look like, he will not have the synergy of handshake of information, right? Like designer needs to understand how the product catalog page is there, how product page is there, how he adds to cart, customize the card, I can say finance it in terms of a payment gateway integration. The developer need to understand how the ecosystem works. So indirectly, whenever we get into what we have started doing is, when we design the prototype, we bring the developers together, walk them through the prototype, and say, but this is how it flows from one screen to another. These are the user types, these are the user functions, and how you are going to contribute to make it work. It has really helped us to make the life easier. They ask the right question, they know the problem statement, and it's very fun. So designing what you're talking, design plus engineering is what you're talking about, is the next wave. With AI and data is a next immediate follow-up action as such. So I guess design engineering, what you're talking about as a coined word, is perfect, and I'm a strong believer in that, and have tried and tested. It works, and it really works.
Wow, thank you so much, Suhas, for doing this conversation. It was fantastic speaking with to you. So many examples, so much of insight. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Rohit, for giving this opportunity. A lot more. I don't know how much of justice I was able to make in this podcast. Very happy to be part of this conversation.
Hello and welcome to our new segment where we are going to be hosting Tricycle Brand Solutions this entire month with all of you. And Samyadeep, to continue our conversation, each startup is building a solution for a customer problem. The question that I have for you there is, what are the typical challenges that you see with your customers with respect to branding as an area, and how do you strategically address them?
Right, Rohit. So thank you for asking this question. It's a wonderful question to begin this conversation today. The main problem that we see is the fact that our understanding of branding is very skewed. I mean, we have a very limited perspective about branding, and that's been our experience. So that is where we are trying to actually, clean the air and trying to make a difference. Firstly, what we are wanting to do is we are wanting to make sure that people understand what the real branding is all about. Um, we want them to understand that branding is not restricted to a logo or just a kind of a collateral design. It's more than that. There are the softer aspects of branding, and it goes into understanding important aspects like culture creation, employer branding, external communication, internal communication. And most importantly, from experience, what we have seen is that many times after doing a lot of things, we come across a situation that things don't add up. And that's a big problem because it's not being well thought through initially. People start looking at it from an individual job perspective, and that's where the problem is. So Tricycle, because we are a strategy oriented, design integrated, and communication looking outfit, we first make sure that we create a broad strategy depending on what your business goals are. Then we go about interpreting it through design, and thereafter we also take care of communication so that this entire brand projection is distinct, it's relevant, and most importantly, it's consistent and in line with your business goals.
Interesting, Samyadeep. In fact, taking a cue from what you just shared with us, can you share with our listeners what kind of customers do you prefer to work with in terms of their mindset, background, knowledge? What kind of customers do you aspire to serve?
Right. So, Rohit, we want to work with people who have, most importantly, clarity of vision, clarity of thought in terms of what they want to achieve, and who believe in the potential and idea of strategic brand building to begin with. We have come across situations where there are companies who have a very limited understanding in terms of branding and what it can do, and that's where we have a problem. We don't care if you are an established company, or if you are a new entity, if you are a family owned enterprise, or if you are just an enthusiastic entrepreneur just wanting to start out. But the important thing is, do you believe in the potential of branding? Do you understand the processes that are there? Or if you don't understand, are you open enough to help us come and kind of do that for you? So that autonomy is important, that belief is important, because this is not something that can give you immediate returns. Branding is a long drawn affair. It requires commitment, it requires focus, and most importantly, it requires the belief that this is something that is very, very important for you. So we are always looking out to work with people who are passionate like ours, who understand the potential of it, who believe that this can be a real game changer and add value to their respective businesses, and most importantly, people who celebrate fresh perspectives. Tricycle was created for that. So, if you want to do the usual, the regular, the mundane, then we are probably not the right guys for you. But if you believe that, okay, there is another perspective, there is a different way out, and you care for those, diversity in terms of thoughts and in terms of perspective, then we are more than willing to be to take up your project and to kind of create value. The most important thing is that we are here to make a difference, we are here to add value, and this is the most important thing that we look at in our relationships. Thankfully, this has been the journey, this has been how it has been so far, and we would like to work with many people who believe in the same principles.
Wow, that's interesting, Samyadeep. So stay tuned, folks. We will continue the conversation with Samyadeep and his co founder in our next episode.
Hey there, we hope you enjoyed our show. Do write to us on ads@avantika.edu.in. We look forward to your opinions, feedbacks, and suggestions of speakers you would like us to host on this show. Do tune in our channel next week on Wednesday for a new story on Hubhopper or wherever you get your podcast from. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter.